Why not me? And it is time. So, hello, welcome to the Dressing Room 8 March Book Club meeting. My name is Natasha Nurse. I'm really excited to be here to talk about another book for the month. Every month we do this, and I'm having fun. I hope you're having fun. And the book of the month is Why Not Me by Mindy Kaling. And if you're a fan of the Mindy Project, if you're a fan of, what was the movie she just did last year? A Wrinkle in Time. Yes. A Wrinkle in Time. Super. I mean, some people I talked to didn't like it. That confuses me. Mindy was phenomenal. She was really funny. And that's just like an awesome book. So it confuses me if you didn't like that movie. But, different strokes for different folks. Why not? And with that, let's get started. So there is a summary that I found on litlovers.com. I'm just going to share a couple of thoughts that was shared there. So book summary, a collection of essays that are hilarious and insightful as they are deeply personal. Concur. I think that's a really great summary. In Why Not Me, Kaling shares her ongoing journey to find contentment and excitement in her adult life, whether it's falling in love at work, seeking new friendships in lonely places, attempting to be the first person in history to lose weight without any behavior modification whatsoever, or most important, believing that you have a place in Hollywood when you're constantly reminded that no one looks like you. That's a lot. That's very accurate, right? She is an Indian woman who is changing the face of comedy. She's changing how we view different types of diversity, right? I think typically as a Black woman, I definitely, when I think about diversity issues, right, it's very easy to go the Black-white route, but there are other people of color on this planet and they need representation, especially in such a major industry like comedy, right? And she is not only very, very funny, but she's very relatable. And her book is absolutely a brilliant consensus collection of her thoughts and her insecurities and her arrogance and her humor. And, I don't even know if she's like serious half the time because it's written so well and so funny. And so you're really going to enjoy that. So again, if you're looking to learn more about kind of a breakdown of the book, really simply go to litlovers.com. Next, I think really the next place to really start is to really just go through some passages, some really kind of memorable moments that I, really either had me laughing, had me saying, what? And I'm going to show you something. So she has some illustrations in the book, which I thought were really cool because I know once you're an adult, you're supposed to read books that are just serious adult books. Meh. But, I like pictures. I like doodles. I want to see them. So I'm all about that, actually. This is really funny. So this is how she begins the book. Guys, you're going to laugh. You're going to laugh your ass off. In 7th grade, I started at a new school. On the first day, I was so anxious to make friends, I brought a family-sized bag of Skittles to homeroom so I could pass them out and entice my new classmates to talk to me. Do you like Skittles? I asked. Kids would nod, cautiously. Here, take some. I'm Mindy, I said, trying to rope them into conversation. It didn't work very well. Even back then, the kids thought this was suspicious behavior, like I was covering for something unseemly they couldn't quite pinpoint. Still, I persisted, striking up conversations like a middle school Hare Krishna and cornering kids with aggressively banal chit-chat. That's so funny you like the color blue. I like turquoise. We're so similar. I did this until my art teacher, Mr. Posner, pulled me aside. Mr. Posner was soft-spoken and wouldn't let us talk about the movie Silence of the Lambs because it contained violence against women. I hated him. You don't have to give people candy to like you, Mindy, he said. They will like you for you. I nodded meaningfully, knowing he wanted to see that my mind had been blown by his awesome humanity. Then he took my Skittles, and I thought, what a load of garbage. At 12 years old, I experienced enough to have zero faith in the power of my looks or personality to reel in the friends I wanted so badly. I needed my Skittles. The next day I brought in more and Mr. Posner called my parents. The Skittles stopped and I wished that Mr. Posner was trapped in the bottom of a well and later killed, like in Silence of the Lambs. My parents encouraged me to play field hockey, where I eventually did end up making new friends. I remember that time as one of the most stressful periods of my life. Every kid wants approval, but my desire to be well-liked was central to my personality. She goes on and on, of course. It's a book. But I just thought that that was a hell of a story to begin her book with, because it's not only super relatable, right? How many of us remember in junior high feeling like, oh my gosh, I wish people would accept me. Oh my gosh, I wish people were nicer to me. Could I bribe you with Skittles, right? Totally been there. The teacher had a point, but I think he didn't necessarily resonate his message with her, thus her wishing his death in a well, like in Silence of the Lambs. And I just love the horror reference, because horror films is like my favorite genre. So I loved it. I love that beginning of the book, like just being like, I hope he dies. That's hilarious. I mean, it's not, I'm not purporting violence, but I'm just saying, I was just funny as hell. So that's one example of why to love the book. And then also, if you look on page 8 and 9, she actually includes pictures of herself, which I really, really love. So she talks about like one of the pictures I just showed you. It says Mindy Kaling, red carpet glamour puss with perfect skin and shiny hair, outfitted in the latest fashion garments. Look at me, just lounging on a chair like I'm so fancy. My torso doesn't even bend. Here I am again, right? Super funny. Mindy is ridiculous. She's just ridiculous. And she shares different revelations. I'm going to just go through the different pages to see. Oh, okay. Yeah. Interesting. So she talks on page 13 about spray tan. So I think this was a really important point, because sometimes people, when you talk about different things, you don't know, like I've definitely been told, like, or kind of questioned, like, can Black people tan, which might seem like a crazy question to ask, but at the end of the day, if you don't have experience with different cultures, then people are going to ask you questions, and the answer is yes, for sure. And Mindy, like me, has darker skin, and so she has a little bit about spray tans. I'll read a little bit of it for you. Spray tan, surprise, I've been white all along. Joking, obviously. She's clearly Indian. She begins, 2 or 3 times a year, I get a spray tan. But why, you ask? You already have dark skin. Like, really dark skin? Well, first of all, that's a little racially weird that you said that. Second, it's not about changing the color. It's about evening out the color. When I wear a strapless dress or act in a nude scene, I have noticeable tan lines, just like white people. And unless I've been hired to do an American Apparel thong campaign, which, by the way, I'm totally into doing, tan lines are no bueno for me. So the night before we are shooting a scene where I have to show a lot of skin, which happens way more than I ever thought, I get a spray tan. Basically, what that means is a really brave woman named Jen will show up at my house with a machine that looks like a small stainless steel box to store a gremlin, and I will strip naked and stand in my bathroom with my arms and legs wide open and a guilty expression on my face. You don't have to wear underwear, but I always wear mine because it's important for Jen to know that I am classy. When sweet, patient Jen has finished spraying a temporary dye all over my body, with a little airbrush, she uses a blow dryer to dry me off. Exciting. I don't know. I thought that was really funny, because again, it's kind of speaking to the idea that, like, people of color, yes, we spray tan, people of color, it's interesting, because I just think that there's just things that people don't know of different communities. And I think that she had some of the things that she talked about in her experience as a woman of color. And I really appreciated reading that from her. I just think that she is just such an inspiration and just super, super funny. So that's really funny. For one thing. She talks about the value of tailored clothing, which is important. If you guys tune into my fashion content on dressingroommate.com, you know that clothing is great, but a lot of times, if you want that perfect fit, if you want to build a signature style, a lot of times you're not only going to buy really unique pieces, but you're also going to invest in tailoring and get it done so that it hugs and fits the right way. She talks about that. Let's see. Oh, She talks about her breast and how she felt about her breast. Page 17, that's a really fun bit. She talks about, oh gosh, she talks about her work like schedule, which is really daunting. She works a lot of hours, like pretty much she's up really early, and then she just has a long day, and she has to like nap in the middle of the day, and it's a grind. You know, she definitely, when at least when she was filming for the Mindy project, right, it was a grind. So I imagine the grind hasn't gotten any easier. I think usually it just gets harder and harder the more successful you are, and she's had several continuous successful stints, so I imagine her schedule hasn't gotten that much easier. But there's that. She talks about The Office, if you guys are a fan. I never got to watch The Office yet. It's still on my list. I know I'm mad late, but I will be watching it. And she talks about kind of her journey there, and, you know, some of the things that she, like, the Steve Carell, and, like, the people that she worked with, and, you know, moments that she loved, moments she didn't love. Also, I would say she talked more about, like, The Office in her first book as well. So definitely check that out as well if you're interested. Let's see, what's another really good, oh, this is a good moment. So it's titled Frown on page 43. About a year ago, I had lunch with Reese Witherspoon in Brentwood, and she has like an asterisk mark next to Brentwood, and then underneath on the bottom of the page, it says jealous haters question mark. Love her. She's hilarious. To discuss a project we were thinking of working on. And when we walked out to our cars, a couple of photographers were waiting to take her photo. She whispered to me, smile. Why? I asked. We're just walking to our cars. Reese responded, no one who sees a photograph of us wants to see that we are anything other than totally happy all the time. At first, I thought that couldn't possibly be true, but then on the drive home, I realized how correct Reese was. When I see a photo in US Weekly of Angelina Jolie Pitt walking back to her car from the pharmacy, I feel a little irrationally miffed if she's not smiling. She has a great life and like 20 gorgeous kids. Why are you not smiling? Angelina Jolie Pitt. If you're not grinning ear to ear when you're sleeping with Brad Pitt every night, then how shitty is my life? Too funny. So now I get it, and I have tried to train my face to be a smile in response instead of the low level grimace I've worn my whole life. Also, I comb my bangs over my acne and wear aviator sunglasses like Tom Cruise, so people will really be psyched when they see an impromptu paparazzi photo of me. Stars are just like us, but they are super happy and grateful every moment, even when they are picking up UTI medicine. Interesting. It's interesting the expectations that the average person has on celebrities. It's interesting how difficult that might be to live your life in public viewing all the time and not even have kind of the permission essentially to feel like you can just exist, right? But that you have to always be acting, that you have to always have a certain level of I guess, happiness or joy that you're presenting to the world, because kind of, yeah, like Mindy's saying, right, most people are looking through these magazines, dying to see people happy and excited about their lives, but like, if you're picking up medication for VD, like, how happy are you, right? But doesn't matter, right? It's this whole idea that, like, you're a celebrity, obviously things with you must be perfect, and it's not, and they're real people too, and I think the average American or the average person in this world needs to think about that, and maybe, you know, hopefully that can change for celebrities, because I think if you think, hey, if you were to become a celebrity tomorrow, would you really want everyone to see what you're doing? Would you want people to go through your trash? Would you want people to just invade your space all day, every day? Or if the answer is yes, and that's just a part of celebrity, you know, that's interesting. I have a certain level of sympathy for people who have to deal with that all the time. So that's interesting. So she talks a bit about this kind of prison scenario. This might intrigue you guys. On page 45, guys in prison email me. So I'll read a little bit of it for you. Ever heard of corelinks.com? No, neither had I. Probably because CoreLinks is the official email system used by the federal penitentiary system. It's for inmates who want to communicate with the outside world. About 2 years ago, a month after the Mindy Project premiered, my inbox was flooded with emails from this mysterious site called CoreLinks, requesting that I accept their invitations for communication. At first, my mind went to cufflinks, and I thought it was some fashion-related website. Nope. I guess the Mindy Project was popular in certain federal prisons, and because of that, coupled with the fact that my email address was incredibly easy to guess, I have since changed it. I was getting a lot of requests. At first, I was kind of flattered and amused. I like thinking of all the guys in the prison rec room quieting down when the show came on. Shut up, you guys. One inmate would menacingly shout to another, who is playing ping pong. I hope Mindy manages to find a good balance between work and dating. Danny is soulful and closed off, just like my cellmate. Where's the old doctor? Why do they keep changing the cast? The warden isn't looking. Let's riot. But then, just as I was beginning to enjoy it, it became a little scary. I would return from set and there would be more and more emails requesting to initiate contact with me. Guys with names like Robert Lee and Rufus. I imagine the flip side of an unrequited prison crush is prison rage. I also don't live in any kind of gated community, and my house is very easy to break into. I've broken into it twice when I couldn't find my keys, and I'm not even a hardened criminal yet. So with a heavy heart, I went through the process of blocking requests from core links. I do like the distinction that these were federal prisoners trying to contact me, not state prisoners. Federal prisons are way more fancy. So in my mind, these were fairly classy guys, large-scale drug traffickers and Wolf of Wall Street type guys, rather than stabbers and grabbers. I mean, no offense to stabbers and grabbers, especially hot ones. Fascinating, Mindy. Fascinating, fascinating, fascinating. I think that's the only word I have to describe that scenario. Fascinating. Guys, it's good. There's so many. Okay, let me get to my next page. Oh, Mindy. Too funny. Too funny. Ah, okay. There's that. I don't know if I want to talk about that. Let me see, page 76. It's a good read. Also, it's an easy read, guys. You know, I think when you're trying to get through books every year, it's important to make sure you're getting through books that are like easy to read. I'm also reading, I'm reading a 3-part series. I don't know if you guys saw the movie last year, The Darkest Minds, but that's like based on a book series, and I'm reading like all 3 books, and the first one, phenomenal, similar to the movie, a little bit different. Second one, sorry, author. I've been struggling. It is not an easy read. It is not a good read. So, you know, I really do appreciate when books are easy and fun to get through and you want to get to the next page. This book is killing me, but I will get through it. I got to read my books this year. No, not that one. Let's see, 83. I'll only do a couple more because I know we're going to get down to timing. But if you guys have any questions or thoughts or things that you like about Mindy Kaling that you'd want to talk about as well as I like sift through, please do share. Oh, this is a good thing. So, no, this is crazy. So, she talks about racism as well, and so if you want to read more about her thoughts on that, go to page 84. I will leave it at that for you because that's kind of a crazy breakdown. I think she's joking, but you know, I'd have to interview her to know. She also talks about she actually enjoys the love scenes that she has done in different storylines that she's done on like the Mindy Project. So that's interesting. I didn't expect for her to say that. I know myself, if I were to act in things, I definitely would not be doing those types of scenes. I think that level of intimacy with strangers is not something that I'm desiring. But if you would be interested in that, I'd love to know. And then what else? Oh, yes. And then let's see, page 139. She also she has a lot of pictures in here, which I thought were just like really cute. And then she talks about her romance, and that I thought was really, really revealing, and I appreciated her honesty. Let's see. Oh, and she has this whole bit about like if she was a teacher in a private school, how things would go. That's a really, really, really funny bit. So definitely check into that. And then, this is good. So it's titled I'm So Real. This is on page 193 in the book, Why Not Me? This is an example of the kind of thing that is most often said about me in the media. It's so refreshing that Mindy Kaling doesn't try to conform to any normal standards of beauty. She is just so real. I love that about her. And my knee-jerk reaction is, wait, I don't want to be real. When I think of things that are real, I think of income taxes and Putin's invasion of Ukraine. Real is bad. I want fantasy. My guiltiest example of this is once at my dentist's office, I read a magazine article with the title Curvy Celebs We Adore, which featured a pretty photo of me. I loved it. Then I turned the page. The next bunch of photos were of actresses who were much bigger than me, probably weighing 50 to 100 pounds more. My instantaneous reaction was, whoa, 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 I'm not that big. They're kind of being liberal with the term curvy, aren't they? Then I really panicked. I don't look like them, do I? I can buy my clothes at regular stores. I can still fit into one economy seat on a plane. These porkers would have to buy a row. I was considering asking the dental receptionist her opinion on the matter when I came to my senses. I realized how absurd and gross I was to want a magazine to have stricter criteria for their empowering piece about non-skinny celebrities. I'm not proud of that moment, but sometimes I fall victim to my own insecurities. I never want to be a part of the problem. I want to always be as body positive as girls hope that I am, and yet I occasionally use the word porkers. I'm trying, guys. Yeah, that's a really real moment. I mean, it's definitely not a great moment. I think that, it is not, it's definitely not body positive to, feel a certain type of way of like not wanting to be compared to someone who weighs more than you. I mean, I think beauty or curves has no weight limit. And I think and I appreciated that she acknowledged her error in her thinking and her error and that she was vulnerable enough to share that because this is her book. She decided what came into this. So, I think that's a lesson that we all need to learn because a lot of times people, will riot under this, I'm body positive, I love my body. And then the minute that they feel like they're being told they are, look a certain way and they're like, whoa, 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 that's not me, like this, and it could be height, could be weight, could be color, whatever. We have to just kind of check ourselves and say at the end of the day, are you a part of the problem or are you part of the solution? And, she had to check herself. So that was a good moment. I thought, it's a good moment to share the lessons and it's a good moment to share sometimes how we are hypocritical with ourselves, our bodies, and, you as a public person or you just as a regular person, right? Just living your life. We all are leaders. We all have people observing and checking in and hearing what we're saying and what we're doing. So be conscientious, especially if you're a mother and you have a daughter. I didn't grow up in a household where I heard a lot of positive reinforcement about their people's bodies and that implanted onto me, and that was stuff that I had to undo. It's much easier to start children and to start things off the right way right? So just be body positive, meaning love your body, love who you are, no matter the color, the height, the weight, the width, the curves, the lack of curves, ... right? You are who you are. And, I think the more that you embrace that, the more that you could work on stuff that actually fucking matters, right? Like things like, I don't know, environmental conservation. I don't know, protecting children from rape and molestation. I don't know, war, endless war, right? Like there's so many things going on in this world all at once. I think that, our hangups on our bodies is absolutely a rational hangup. But when you think about it on the scale of other things we need to conquer, isn't it easier just to say, hey, I'm going to love myself and I'm just going to, have kind of a daily regimen of self-love and self-care and self-empowerment so that I can actually focus my attention on things that do need changing, right? Because your body is your body, right? If you want to work on changing your body, then do that, but don't hate on yourself. Don't hate on who you are because you have one body in this life. It is your responsibility to honor and love it each and every day, right? No, that's not optional. It's just mandatory. And if you don't, you will live and bear the consequence of that action. So that's that. I mean, there's more, but with that, as we wind down, I want to make sure that I kind of share some more commentary about the book. So things I didn't love about the book, definitely that, things like that, where if she uses the word porker or I'm not that fat or, that type of anti kind of self-love, body language. I think that, I think she's working through it. I think she's being very honest, and I appreciate the honesty, and I would never shame her for that, because I think that I would rather hear someone say how they really feel about themselves than to just totally put it behind a facade. If that's not how you really feel, that's not how you really feel. So I appreciate that she's working on it. I'd love to know, if I have the opportunity to speak with her, where are you at with your body positivity journey now, right? From when she wrote this book, hopefully in a better place, in a more enlightened place. Other things, I would say, other than that, I mean, not really, I just, the body positive thing, that kind of stuck out to me as the lower point in the book. Things that I did love, it's funny AF, right? It is funny as hell. This book is hilarious. So definitely, if you're looking to read something very real, very transparent, very in your face, like, I'm not afraid to be who I am. I'm not afraid to talk about race, to talk about gender, to talk about fat, to talk about sex, to talk about insecurities. This is your book to read. So definitely do that. Things to take away from the book. Hollywood takes work, right? I think a lot of us, self-included, right? I definitely have certain goals that I want to achieve in media. And I think sometimes people think, and they look at celebrities and they're just like, oh, like, once you get your big break, you're set. It's like hella work. She's constantly having to write, because once you get one project going, you have to work to get your next project. It's like, it's just work and work and work, like any other industry, like any other aspect of life. So Hollywood takes work, guys. Is it for everyone? Depends. If that's something you really want, then I'm sure you'll make it happen, right? But be prepared to work hard and very hard. Next, she has long days, but it's totally worth it, right? When you're living a life of passion and purpose, there's nothing more gratifying than that. And I think that I really appreciate what she's doing, because I can't imagine that it's easy to be who she is. And she's such a great representation for Indian women, for women of color. So I appreciate her. I appreciate what she's doing, and I appreciate her hard work. Next, she doesn't have everything. And even though we as people like to seem to say Hollywood people have everything, it's not true. They aren't perfect. They are working hard to get shit done in their lives. But, we need to have a little bit of grace, and we need to have a little bit of humility for people in the public eye, because if you were to put yourself in that position, again, you're picking up medication, you're going to the doctor, you're doing family events, private moments. Do you want everything captured in the public eye? Probably not, right? And I wish, after reading kind of her story as well, I wish that, people, at least in America, could kind of ease off, a little bit. I understand paparazzi gets paid to, capture all of these moments, but it is a little bit unfortunate that our celebrities have to not only bear the burden of like being so public, and hopefully every movie lands and makes uber successful money amounts, right, and all these things, but that they also have to be monitored on a daily basis. That's very challenging, and I just challenge everyone to think about that and maybe not absorb that content to such a degree, because again, like everything else, if we are not consuming stuff, then they will not go and continue to publish that content. It's supply and demand, right? So if we don't crave wanting to know what Angelina Jolie is eating at 11 o'clock at night, then they won't be paying people to capture that footage and that crap, right? That's not necessary. What are these celebrities doing with their philanthropic efforts? What are they doing to make this world a better place? That's the type of content we need to be consuming, because that's the kind of shit we need to be doing, right? That's kind of where I stand on that. Another takeaway. It's hard to be different in a world telling you to conform, but it's our difference that can make us famous. And, that's a bit of a mind fuck, essentially, because, growing up, we're told, you need to find your path, be a doctor, be a lawyer, be a teacher, be an engineer, But the irony is, as I've gotten older in my life, as I've done many things in my career, it's what makes us different. It's what makes us not conform that creates new opportunities for us, and it's what can actually set you apart and give you the celebrity and fame that you may be looking for in your life. So it's very interesting. So I challenge you to think about your differences and not see them as a deficiency, but see them as one of your best assets, right? Because that is what's setting you apart. That's what's giving you your own lane. Last thing to talk about for Why Not Me is just really, again, if you're looking for something funny, if you're looking for something that is inspirational, right in your face, definitely read this book. And if you want to know what the next book is for the Dressing Room 8 Book Club, make sure you go to dressingroom8.com to check that out. And I just appreciate you tuning in. I appreciate if you share all the content. And with that, I will see you guys soon. All right. Have a good evening. Talk to you soon. Bye.